Commander Diana Reeves had never seen Beijing look so alien. The sprawling megalopolis had transformed overnight into a kaleidoscope of Earth and extraterrestrial architecture. Holographic banners flickered between Chinese characters and the flowing script of 6 different alien languages, all celebrating humanity's formal introduction to the Galactic Confederation. From her position atop the China World Trade Center, Diana watched the city through her enhanced scope. 2,000 meters below, crowds gathered behind security barriers, hoping to glimpse the alien delegation. The summit was supposed to be humanity's greatest moment. First official contact with galactic civilization. But something in Diana's gut told her it might become our greatest crisis. Movement on the western approach. Lieutenant James Rodriguez's voice crackled in her earpiece. Her spotter had been with her through 3 wars on Earth. Now they were humanity's last line of defense against threats they barely understood. 3 vessels, not matching any registered diplomatic signatures. Diana adjusted her scope, switching through spectrum filters until she caught the shimmer of advanced cloaking technology. The vessels were sleek, predatory, nothing like the ornate diplomatic ships that had arrived earlier. Control. This is Watchmaker. We have unauthorized craft approaching the exclusion zone. Acknowledged, Watchmaker. Confederation security assures us all approaches are monitored. Diana bit back a curse. The aliens had insisted on handling their own security, and Earth's leadership had agreed, eager to show trust. But she hadn't survived this long by trusting anyone's security but her own. The vessels were descending now, their cloaking beginning to fail under atmospheric stress. Through her scope, Diana caught glimpses of weapon ports, not diplomatic vessels at all. Control, we have hostile intent. I repeat, hostile intent. These are armed craft. Stand down, Watchmaker. We cannot risk a diplomatic incident. The first explosion cut through the morning air. One of the Confederation's security barriers shattered, and Diana watched in horror as figures emerged from the vessels. Tall, crystalline beings wielding weapons that pulsed with dark energy. Diana's training took over. Time slowed as she acquired her first target. The leader, distinguished by elaborate crystalline growths that could only be rank insignia. The alien was raising some kind of weapon toward the Earth delegation's position. The shot broke the sound barrier a microsecond before it shattered the crystalline being into 1,000 glittering shards. The other assassins scattered, their cloaking devices creating ripples in the air. Control, we have multiple hostiles. Earth delegation is under attack. This time, there was no response about diplomatic incidents. Alarms wailed across the city as Earth's defense forces scrambled to respond. But Diana was already acquiring her next target. 2 more shots, 2 more crystalline assassins shattered. The remaining attackers were adapting now, using advanced shield technology that bent light and energy around them. But Diana hadn't earned her reputation by giving up when things got difficult. James, I need atmospherics. Wind shifting northwest, 8 knots. Temperature rising with weapons discharge. They're using some kind of energy shielding I've never seen before. Diana smiled grimly. Then we'll give them something they've never seen before. She switched her rifle's ammunition to the experimental rounds she'd insisted on bringing. Projectiles designed to fragment into plasma upon impact. The next assassin's shield flickered and failed as the round transformed into pure energy, matching the frequency of their defenses before burning through. The battle was over in minutes. The remaining assassins retreated to their vessels, leaving behind their shattered companions and humanity's shattered illusions about peaceful first contact. Hours later, Diana stood before Earth's Security Council, her rifle still warm. You understand what this means, General Richards said, his face grave. You've killed members of the crystalline hierarchy, the Confederation's most powerful faction. They'll want revenge. Diana checked her weapon with practiced calm. With all due respect, sir, they tried to assassinate Earth's entire diplomatic corps. I'd say we're past worrying about hurt feelings. The Confederation claims these were rogue elements, a diplomat interjected. They're denying any official involvement. Of course they are, Diana replied, just like they'll deny the next attempt. But now they know something they didn't before. She met the Council's gaze. They know that humanity isn't defenseless. They know that all their advanced technology doesn't make them invincible. And they know that at least one human can see through their deceptions, both literal and political. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity's introduction to galactic society had been baptized in violence, and Diana Reeves had just become the most dangerous human in the galaxy, at least from the Confederation's perspective. They'll send others, General Richards warned. Diana chambered around with a satisfying click. Let them come. They'll learn what every other would-be conqueror in human history has learned. We're really good at surviving. And some of us, we're even better at hunting. The neon lights of New Shanghai cast otherworldly shadows across Diana's scope as she tracked movement through the city's vertical sprawl. 3 weeks had passed since the Beijing incident, and the galaxy's deadliest assassins had been hunting her ever since. Tonight, she decided to hunt them back. Thermal signature, northeast quadrant, James whispered through their encrypted channel. He was positioned 10 blocks away, coordinating with their new network of rooftop sensors. Pattern matches Obsidian Syndicate tech. The Obsidian Syndicate, the Confederation's infamous guild of elite assassins. They'd taken the contract on her life with characteristic arrogance. 5 of their agents had already failed to collect. Diana intended to make it 6. Multiple signatures now, James reported. They're using that phase shift technology again. Diana adjusted her position on the maintenance gantry of the Shanghai Tower, her adaptive camouflage blending with the steel and smart glass. The Syndicate hunters thought their phase shift tech made them invisible. They hadn't counted on humanity's centuries of warfare driving innovation in detection systems. A shimmer of displaced air caught her attention. Subtle, almost imperceptible. But Diana had learned to read the signs. The Syndicate's assassin was good, moving between shadows with liquid grace. Its chitinous armor absorbed light, and its multiple arms carried weapons that could disintegrate a human in seconds. They're hurting you, James warned. 3 more signatures converging on your position. Diana smiled. No, James, I'm hurting them. She'd spent the last week preparing this killing ground, studying the Syndicate's tactics. They relied too heavily on their technology, on their supposed superiority. They never considered that a primitive human might outthink them. The first assassin reached her predicted position. Diana squeezed the trigger. The round pierced the phase shift field and found its mark. The alien's death scream was cut short as its body collapsed into quantum particles, a failsafe to prevent capture. Contact south, James barked. They're adapting faster this time. 2 more assassins emerged from their stealth fields, their weapons charging with deadly energy. But Diana was already moving, using their own hunting pattern against them. Her grappling line shot her across the vertical cityscape as their energy beams superheated the air where she'd been. You've got their leader incoming, James reported. Bigger signature, more advanced shielding. This one's different, Diana. Through her scope, she caught glimpses of the leader, a towering figure with armor that seemed to drink in light itself. Its movements were perfect, practiced. This was no ordinary Syndicate killer. Executor Vintax, Diana breathed, recognizing the notorious Syndicate commander from intelligence briefings. They sent their best. The Executor's voice filled the comm channels, somehow breaking through their encryption. Commander Reeves, your reputation grows with each of my agents you eliminate. The crystalline hierarchy offers you one chance to surrender. Your skills could serve a greater purpose in the Confederation. Diana positioned herself behind a junction of structural beams. Funny, I was about to make you the same offer. Earth could use someone with your expertise. A sound like crystalline chimes. Alien laughter. You believe your world can resist the Confederation. That your primitive projectile weapons and determination can overcome millions of years of advancement. I believe you're talking too much, Diana replied, and fired. The shot struck the executor's shield and splintered into plasma. But this time, the shield held. Vintax moved with impossible speed, all 6 arms wielding weapons that turned the night into day. Diana rolled as energy beams carved through steel and concrete. The battle became a deadly dance through New Shanghai's vertical maze. Every time she found position, the executor's superior mobility forced her to move. Each shot she fired was met with shields that adapted to her weapons. James, I need options. Working on it. Their energy signatures are off the charts. Whatever that shield is, it's like nothing we've seen. Diana's mind raced as she evaded another barrage. The executor's shields adapted to each attack, learning and evolving. But adaptation required pattern recognition, and patterns could be exploited. James, remember Monaco. A pause. The simultaneous detonation trick. Diana, that's insane. You'll never get close enough. Just be ready to take the shot. Diana broke cover, running straight at the executor. Energy beams scorched the air around her as she fired 3 rapid shots, each one striking the shield at precise intervals. The shield brightened, adapting to the attack pattern. Your courage is admirable, Vintax said, but futile. Diana dropped her rifle. Maybe, but you should know something about humans, Executor. She pulled a small device from her tactical vest. We're really good at learning from our enemies. The device activated, releasing a quantum pulse modulated to match the exact frequency of the executor's shield. The barrier didn't just fail. It imploded, creating a microsecond of absolute vulnerability. James's shot arrived in that microsecond. The executor had time for one final sound of surprise before joining its agents in quantum dissolution. Hours later, Diana stood in a secure briefing room beneath New Shanghai, facing a holographic projection of the Security Council. The Obsidian Syndicate will not take this lightly, General Richards warned. Vintax was one of their highest-ranking executors. Good, Diana replied, checking the quantum pulse modulator they'd reverse-engineered from previous Syndicate encounters. Maybe now they'll understand something fundamental about humanity. And what's that, Commander? We don't just learn to survive. We learn to win. The orbital elevator above Nairobi stretched into the African sky like a silver thread connecting Earth to the stars. Diana watched through her scope as transport pods climbed and descended, carrying diplomats and traders between humanity's surface and the growing network of orbital stations. One of those pods carried her target, not to kill this time, but to protect. Confirmation on Ambassador Catel's pod, James reported from his position in the elevator's security center. Terminal velocity reached. Descent beginning in 3 minutes. The ambassador was a minor official from one of the Confederation's outer worlds who had contacted Earth's intelligence services with disturbing information. The attempted assassination in Beijing, the Obsidian Syndicate's pursuit, they were all part of something bigger, something that threatened both humanity and the Confederation itself. Multiple anomalies in the atmospheric sensors, James suddenly announced. Similar to the Syndicate's phase shift signatures, but different. Diana adjusted her scope's wavelength filters. There, barely visible against the evening sky, 3 shapes descending rapidly, their profiles unlike anything she'd encountered before. New players, she muttered. Control, we have unidentified hostiles approaching the elevator. Request immediate lockdown. Negative, Commander, came the response. We can't stop the pod system without stranding thousands. You'll have to protect the ambassador without shutting down operations. Diana watched the shapes resolve into humanoid figures wearing what appeared to be living armor, organisms that shifted and flowed like liquid metal. James, what am I looking at? Processing. Match found in Confederation databases. Void Dancers. They're a splinter faction of biomechanical extremists, supposedly wiped out centuries ago. Apparently not. Diana tracked the lead figure as it descended toward the elevator shaft. Their movements were unnaturally fluid, as if gravity itself bent to their will. Any weaknesses? Their bio-armor is adaptive, like the Syndicate's shields, but organic. It learns and evolves during combat. No one's ever killed one twice the same way. Diana chambered a specialized round, one of many new varieties developed by Earth's weapons engineers based on their encounters with alien technology. Then we'll have to get creative. The first Void Dancer reached the elevator shaft, its liquid metal armor extending tendrils that adhered to the structure. It began moving toward Ambassador Catil's pod with predatory grace. Diana's shot struck true, but the bio-armor absorbed the impact, redistributing the energy through its matrix. The Dancer didn't even flinch. Their armor adapts to physical trauma, James reported unnecessarily. Energy weapons might. No time for a weapons swap. How long until the Ambassador's pod reaches the surface? 2 minutes. Diana, there's something else. I'm detecting quantum communications between the Dancers and someone inside the elevator system. Diana's blood ran cold. They have inside help. The conspiracy reaches deeper than we thought. She switched channels. Ambassador Catil, this is Commander Reeves. Your extraction point is compromised. Prepare for emergency protocols. The Ambassador's reply was calm, measured. I suspected as much, Commander. The information I carry, there are those who would destroy both Earth and the Confederation to keep it secret. Do what you must. The Void Dancers were converging on the pod now, their liquid metal armor forming impossible geometries as they moved. Diana watched through her scope as one began molecularly bonding with the pod's outer shell. James, remember what you said about their armor learning from each attack. What happens if it learns the wrong lesson? A pause. Theory. If the armor adapts to a specific threat pattern, it becomes vulnerable to its opposite. Diana finished. She loaded her remaining specialized rounds in a precise sequence, like teaching an eye with corrupted data. Her first shot was pure kinetic energy, a standard round that the bio-armor easily absorbed. The second contained a cryo element that flash-froze the area of impact. The third was a plasma burst that superheated the frozen section. The rapid temperature shift created microscopic stress fractures in the armor's adaptive matrix. When her fourth shot hit, a quantum-tipped round that carried an electromagnetic pulse, the Void Dancer's protection shattered like glass. Pattern established. Diana called out, sending targeting data to orbital defense grid. Earth's defensive satellites locked onto the remaining Dancers, mimicking Diana's attack sequence. Their supposedly invincible armor, having learned to defend against the wrong pattern, failed against the synchronized assault. The pods continued their endless ascent and descent, Earth's population largely unaware of the battle that had taken place among them. Ambassador Catil's transport reached the surface safely, its precious cargo of information secure. Hours later, Diana stood in a secure room deep beneath Nairobi as the ambassador shared what he knew. The holographic evidence spun in the air between them. Records of secret meetings, quantum encrypted communications, proof of a conspiracy that spanned species and star systems. The crystalline hierarchy, the obsidian syndicate, even the Void Dancers. They're all pawns, Kill explained, his translucent appendages trembling with emotion. The real threat comes from within the Confederation itself, a group that believes both humanity and the outer worlds must be removed before we contaminate their vision of galactic purity. The Ascendancy Protocol, General Richards breathed, reading the translated documents. A plan to trigger an engineered civil war, using humanity as the spark. Diana studied the tactical projections with a sniper's eye for detail. They wanted to provoke us into striking back after Beijing. When that failed, they escalated to the Syndicate, and now the Void Dancers. Each failure only pushes them closer to desperate measures. They will send others. Till warned, more dangerous with each attempt. The protocol cannot allow either your world or my evidence to survive. Diana checked her weapon with practiced precision. Let them come. Earth is ready. And now, thanks to you, Ambassador, we finally know where to aim. The massive space station Harmony Point hung in Earth's orbit like a metallic spider web, its crystalline spires reflecting starlight. It was meant to be a symbol of cooperation between humanity and the Confederation. Now it would become a battleground. Diana moved through the station's maintenance tunnels, her mag boots allowing silent progress in zero gravity. The station's artificial gravity had been mysteriously disabled, the first sign that Ambassador Catil's intelligence was correct. The Ascendancy Protocol was making its move. Security systems are going dark sector by sector, James reported through their quantum-encrypted channel. He was coordinating from Earth's orbital defense platform, using hijacked Confederation sensors to track movement throughout the station. They're isolating the diplomatic quarter, over 200 representatives trapped inside. Right where they want them, Diana replied, checking her weapon's vacuum seals. She'd modified her rifle for space operations, each round specially designed to maintain stability in zero-G. Any sign of our dance partners? When the radiation cleared, Harmony Point still stood, though badly damaged. The diplomatic quarter was safe, its occupants protected by emergency barriers, and floating among the debris were the remains of the Ascendancy Protocol's perfect warriors, undone by their own quest for technological superiority. Later, in an emergency session of the Joint Earth Confederation Security Council, Diana presented her findings. The hybrid warriors were just the beginning, she explained. The Ascendancy Protocol has more weapons, more agents embedded throughout the Confederation. They won't stop until they've achieved their vision of galactic purity. Then humanity will stand with our allies against them, General Richards declared. Thanks to you, Commander, we've exposed their existence. The question is, where will they strike next? Diana checked the quantum tracker she'd managed to plant on one of the hybrid warriors' remains before they detonated. A signal was already appearing, leading to coordinates in deep space. They'll strike, she said, wherever we let them think they have the advantage. And this time, we'll be ready. The ancient space station hung in the void between galaxies like a tarnished jewel. Built by a long-vanished civilization, it had become the secret headquarters of the Ascendancy Protocol and humanity's last chance to prevent interstellar war. Diana watched through her scope as shuttles docked with the station's crystalline spires. The Ascendancy's leadership was gathering for what they thought was a triumphant celebration. Instead, they'd find a Deathworlder waiting. Final count is 12 vessels, James reported through their quantum link. He was coordinating from a cloaked Earth vessel hidden in the station's sensor shadow. Energy signatures match known protocol ships, plus something else. Something bigger. They brought their weapon, Diana said. The intelligence ambassador, Till, had painted a frightening picture, a device capable of triggering simultaneous quantum collapse in populated systems. The protocol planned to use it on Earth and their other enemies, then blamed the devastation on human aggression. Movement on the primary dock, James warned. You've got company. A figure emerged from the latest shuttle. Tall, elegant, wrapped in armor that made the hybrid warriors look primitive. Diana's enhanced scope revealed a face she recognized from intelligence briefings. High Commander Nexus, leader of the Ascendancy Protocol. The Great Hunter graces us with her presence. Nexus's voice filled the quantum channels. Did you think we wouldn't detect your approach, Commander Reeves? We who have spent millennia perfecting the art of warfare. Diana remained silent, adjusting her position in the maintenance shaft. The station's artificial gravity was weak here, making every movement a calculated risk. Your species is young, Nexus continued. Violent, unpredictable. You've proven this by turning every technology we sent against you into a new weapon. The Confederation cannot survive such chaos. Funny, Diana finally replied. From where I'm sitting, it looks like we're the ones trying to save the Confederation. You're the ones planning mass murder. Crystalline laughter echoed through the channels. Murder. We offer transcendence. Evolution. The weak will fall so the strong may ascend. Surely a warrior like you understands natural selection. What I understand, Diana said, is that you're talking too much. Her shot screamed across space, aimed perfectly at Nexus's head. But the High Commander moved with impossible speed, his armor generating a defense field that bent light itself. The primitive tries her primitive weapons, Nexus mocked. Let me show you true power. The station rumbled as massive weapon ports opened along its surface. Energy beams capable of cutting planets began sweeping the structure, searching for Diana's position. They're powering up the quantum collapse device, James reported. 5 minutes to activation. If that thing goes off. It won't. Diana was already moving, using the station's ancient architecture to stay ahead of the energy beams. Have our friends reached position? Affirmative. Confederation loyalists are standing by, just waiting for your signal. Diana smiled grimly. The protocol wasn't the only one who could plan ahead. For weeks, they'd been gathering allies, species who opposed the Ascendancy's vision of purity. Now those allies waited in the void, ready to strike. Time for the final lesson, Diana said, and fired a very special round. The projectile split mid-flight, releasing a cloud of engineered nanites, reverse-engineered from the protocol's own technology. They swarmed through the station's systems, corrupting the quantum collapse device's containment fields. No. Nexus's voice held real fear now. Do you realize what you've done? The device cannot be stopped once initiated. Oh, I know exactly what I've done, Diana replied. The question is, do you know what your precious device really is? She emerged from cover, facing Nexus across the station's grand concourse. The High Commander's perfect armor gleamed as energy readings spiked around them. Your own scientists turned against you, Diana continued. They've been feeding us information for months. That's not a weapon you're powering up. It's a quantum entanglement transmitter. And right now, it's broadcasting proof of your plans to every civilization in the Confederation. Nexus raised his weapon, a crystalline device that hummed with impossible power. Then I will start with your death and rebuild from there. The shot that followed would be studied in military academies for centuries. Diana had learned from every assassination attempt, every battle. Her round contained engineered variants of every technology they'd encountered: syndicate phase shift, void dancer biomatter, crystalline energy matrices. But unlike the protocol's hybrid abominations, these components weren't forced together. They worked in harmony, just as the species that created them could. Nexus's perfect armor shattered. The High Commander stumbled, looking down at the very human projectile lodged in his chest. Impossible. We were perfect. That's your problem, Diana said as Confederation peacekeeping forces stormed the station. You tried to force evolution. Real strength comes from adaptation, working together, learning from each other. The quantum collapse device powered down, its transmission complete. Across the galaxy, evidence of the protocol's conspiracy reached every world, every species. The Ascendancy's dream of purity died in a flood of truth. Months later, Diana stood before the new Confederation Council, an equal assembly of all species, humanity included. The Galactic Civil War had been prevented, replaced by a renewed commitment to cooperation and mutual defense. The galaxy is changing, General Richards observed as they watched representatives from 100 worlds file into the chamber. Thanks to you, it's changing for the better. Diana checked her rifle. A new model that incorporated innovations from a dozen species all working together. We'll still need guardians. There will always be those who choose conflict over cooperation. True, the general smiled. But thanks to the legend of the Deathworlder sniper who shook the galaxy, they'll think twice before starting trouble. Diana watched Earth's representatives take their places among the stars, equal partners in a greater civilization. Maybe that's the best kind of evolution, the kind we choose together.